Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm a befuddled cow, and joining me is Brian from Phoenix. A number of people commented on one of the previous shows, uh, and I have loyalties to people, and I God only knows. I don't agree with everybody, but the bottom line is people who have supported the podcast through the years, I hold them in a special place in my heart. And for those who know and have listened for a long time, Michelle was a co host on this program for a period of time. Uh, and in the last two programs that she partook in, I would say that the behavior she exhibited was something that I can't tolerate. Um, and a lot of comments were made about this to me. And I love her for the things that she helped me with and getting me through a period of time. And I know that she's going through stuff in her life, but we can't let that seep over into the podcast because, quite honestly, what I pride myself in is that I don't live my personal life on the podcast. It's smiles and chuckles and whatever. If my body is hurting, you can tell. And in the event of family members passing away or things like that, I will generally share that with you so that you understand if I'm a little bit, let's just say, low key. But for the most part, I'm a basic cow playing an act on a podcast, and I believe in human decency. And when it goes beyond that, I won't, I'll just take a step back. So that's first thing I wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to say is that I got a bunch of questions that I don't have answers to, and and I can honestly say that I probably will never have answers to them. And it is kind of like the great unknown. I just had a person tell me that if I did not accept Christ as my Lord and Savior, that I would, in essence, not only go to hell, but I would trample through the blood of Christ in my boots. Uh, and it's like, wow. All right. I
Well, at that point, you could just remind them, "Hey, I was born one of God's chosen people. I don't particularly think that's possible for me,
well,
but
no, no,
thank you for your concern.
but
Bye."
I don't believe I was chosen. The only people who have chosen me are the 15 people listening to this shit right now. I mean, uh, I'm not a chosen person. I'm not a special person. No religion is a special person. What makes you special is what you do in your life. It's your life works, and that's what makes you special. And it isn't to be seen as special in the eyes of others. It's just to be seen as special in your own heart, knowing you did the best you could. And that's that. Uh, but I have some questions that go beyond. And I said, hey, I love you, man. I've known this person a long time, and I said he'll just have to excuse my bloody boots. So there's that. All right. And I've got this written down on a sheet because I don't want to. It's not that there's many questions, um, but let's start here. You're in first place, and you are at home against the Kansas City Royals. I'll talk in a moment about the Browns offseason. We'll get to the Browns in a minute, but these are questions that I need answered within my bovine soul. One, you're in first place and you're at home, and the Kansas City Royals are right halfway up your ass, just, 3 games behind you. And you don't have a pitcher that you can start, that you can trust to start the game. So you're going to do this bullpen kind of game. And you start out with Nick Sandlin, who's been like the worst pitcher one of the worst pitchers on the team out of the bullpen for the last month and a half. And he just, but he managed to worm his way out of a little bit of trouble in the first inning. We got through that. And then we bring in Eli Morgan. It's like we're starting from the bottom and working our way up from the bottom. Eli Morgan has given up more home runs. You can look up the statistic.
It sounds like a cross between Eli Whitney and J.P. Morgan.
I know. It's incongruous, isn't it? And so what you end up
it's a
with,
financial cotton gin.
Yeah. What you end up with is Eli Morgan knocks him down 1-2-3 in the second, gets him out 1-2-3, and Stephen Vogt has to push his fucking luck. You know what happened? I went to the bathroom, and by the time I got back from the bathroom, what was a 2-0 lead, Eli Morgan had turned into a 3-2 deficit. Well, of course, the guy always gives up home runs. More home runs per inning pitched than any pitcher. He just hasn't pitched that many innings. But his history is to give up the long ball. And so that's the first thing. Why in such an important first game where you could have distanced yourself another game and you would have been 4 games ahead of the Royals and put them behind the 8 ball, would you insist on putting Eli Morgan in for an additional inning after he had given you 2 strong innings? That's first question. But along with that come many more questions. If, in fact, I was going to question Stephen Vogt and it was just Eli Morgan, you'd say, you're just picking on one player. What is the thing with Lame Thomas? I mean, is this like torturing the fan base because they picked him up, the front office picked him up, and he is the worst acquisition I have seen? And I'm not saying this just to be dramatic. This man has been the worst impact player of any free agent signing that I have witnessed. All right? I have never seen anything more destructive than Lame Thomas. He can't hit the baseball. He's hitting 140. He can't drive in runs. He strikes out 42% of the time he's at home plate, including an inordinate number of taken third strikes where he never takes the bat off his shoulders. But to make matters worse, he has no power. But he hit 28 home runs once and 17 last year. We don't see any of that now, do we? Hell no. But to make matters worse, he looks like lost Ferdinand Magellan in center field. He takes the wrong angles to balls. He dropped one yesterday that he clearly should have gotten to if he had taken a less circuitous route. He doesn't have any instincts. And today he went back to the wall and he wasn't even at the wall. And he made this feeble jump and the ball went over his head. He is a lousy center fielder to boot. Why is he playing? I understand. The guy's not an American League player. He's getting used to new pitches. Well, then let him take a look at the game from the sidelines. We got rid of Miles Straw because he couldn't hit. He was a Gold Glover outfielder. Now we got a guy who hits less than Miles Straw, who's the worst fielding center fielder that this team has had in a long time. Now, Miles Straw will never get out of Columbus, which is really scary. I mean, he's stuck there, but he's better.
I would definitely say that Cincinnati would be a worse plot to not be able to get out of.
Well, you may be right.
The Reds are really, really bad.
But stop and think for a minute. The reason we got rid of Miles Straw was because he hit 238. His first year with the Guardians and the Indians, he hit 2 285, but then it dropped down to 262. Well, no, he hit 285 for the Astros. Let's be fair about this. 262 and then 238, and then they'd seen enough and they sent him down and he never came back again. All right. That's the story of Miles Straw. And we'll bring Bronk in here. Hi, Bronk. How you doing?
Moo. I guess you're talking about that game today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, so we got rid of Miles Straw because he couldn't hit, but he fielded real well. He didn't have any power, all right? And they said that he wasn't doing anything but hitting weak singles when he was getting on. And so now we have Lane Thomas, who can't hit singles, has no power, and can't field.
Wow.
How is this fucking possible? And the reason is they have to somehow
justify the front office move.
This stupid trade that they made that made no sense whatsoever. And
have you been ranting about this for the past 15 minutes, or
basically, basically that, and talking about Mouchel's
more like about
bad behavior. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fair enough. I'll go back and listen then. Look, right now. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, it's all right. So next, why is he playing? And I'll give you this, because if he wasn't, Tyler Freeman would.
Oh my God!
Hits for a lesser 208. He hits for a lower average than Miles Straw, and somebody has to explain this to me. It's like, you made this decision on Miles Straw. Nobody in baseball wanted Miles Straw. And now you've brought two people up who are clearly worse than he is. And the thing about Tyler Freeman is, well, we can put him in center field. We can put him at shortstop. We can shove him halfway up your ass. We can put him in the stands and he'll sell popcorn. But he isn't a major league player. Then we have Schneeman that rhymes with Freeman. And he's like his autistic twin brother. And it's like, why is this happening? And how are they in first place? And who can look at the lineup in Kansas City and not say, look at their pitching, look at their players, they're better than we are.
Yeah.
But it's maddening because the games are close. And the difference in the game is Stephen Vogt making these horrible decisions.
All right, what do you do now?
No, he left Eli Morgan in for the third inning. For the third inning.
Horrible.
All he had to do was get him out of there after 2 innings, say, all right, let's move it on to the next guy. But no, he had to stretch him a little further. And bang, the game was over in the heartbeat.
No,
right?
I mean, he's like Scott Sauerbeck on a bad day, man.
I'm sure you guys miss the days of Coco Crisp in the outfield.
Coco Crisp,
yeah,
he was all right actually. I think he made
compared
compared
to this clown, absolutely.
Johnny fucking Damon.
Nah, he was worse. That guy, man. Anybody could saw the bat off in half in his hand.
Yeah, but that's like the Keith Hernandez thing, But when he was a great player, he was on another fucking team.
Right. I mean, the Indians were always late getting people in. I mean,
oh God, yeah.
Juan Gonzalez takes one swing. No, Juan Gonzalez.
Eddie Murray when he's like fucking 39 years old.
Yeah, but he contributed. Juan Gonzalez.
Gonzalez ran the first base and tripped over the chalk mark, and
we never saw him again. Unbelievable.
I remember that play vividly.
Yeah, so do all of us who were
fans. I don't remember some key moments in my life, but I remember that shit.
But I'll tell you what they're going to do next. So because it's so easy, it's the easiest thing in the world to know. And that is Arias, the guy that they kept shoving up our ass. He's going to be brought back up because he's been working on things and doing things the way we want him to do it. God only knows. I don't know what that way is, but it isn't working. So what are we doing in game 2 of this important series? Well, let's let Logan Allen pitch. Well, Logan Allen, you know something? He could not beat a 78-year-old woman with a bat.
Wow. That's grim.
Give me a break. All right. So
Wow.
those are my questions. If somebody can answer
To be
these
fair, that was
questions,
probably Hillary Clinton. She would beat him with the bat.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mess with her. You know, she's
Or Nancy Pelosi, even.
well, she's forgetful and old. I mean, a good gust
Yeah.
of wind would blow her away.
But yeah, her husband got beat up by a baseball bat, I believe.
Hammer.
That's
Oh,
true.
he got hit with a hammer.
It was an object of some kind. Yeah.
If I had a hammer,
I'd
I'd
hammer,
hammer
in the
Pelosi's husband. Yeah.
Tweety Boo Head.
Apparently that happened pre-hammering to the head.
Pre-hammering.
Next question that I have to ask.
Sorry for veering off there.
And I'm no, it's all right.
It's all right.
How can fans and
Why is it?
Yeah, and Brian, this is not personal, okay?
Oh God!
Because I just
I'm going to have to mute now.
I want to tread lightly. How can fans going into a season despise the starting quarterback so badly that they would rather that he lose than their team win? I don't understand this. I don't get it. And I never will get it. I mean, it's all
comes down to the personality of the dude, though.
Something. Nobody look at Aaron Rodgers. He's the biggest cocksucker in the world, and nobody in Green Bay said a goddamn thing about it.
I call him the Antichrist because he has had the luckiest fucking plays I've ever seen in my life.
Wow,
luckier than Randall Cunningham, luckier than Warren Moon. The fucking luckiest shit has happened for that dude on a consistent basis. And he has wrecked pretty much every fucking vagina that you could possibly name. So that's why he's the Antichrist.
There you go.
I can't wait. I finally got rid of Tom Brady. Now I need to get rid of this asshole. Any quarterback that wears number 12, fuck off.
Well,
okay.
All right. We'll move along. The whole idea is if you're a fan, you want your team to do well.
Yeah, generally, yes.
And no, 100% of the time, fan is short for fanatic, and that is we want our team to win.
So dumping for draft choices is not an option then.
No, I mean,
okay, fair enough.
There's a ton of things that the Browns front office has done that if you want me to logically explain where they went wrong, I'd be more than happy. And the quest for a quarterback has been crazy in Cleveland for so long that we
it's
have
like
gone
the Holy Grail. It's like Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
But every bad decision that we could have made, we constantly reaching for this and reaching for that. And I understand that you got to have a good quarterback to win. But the problem is you can't just take a blind stab at somebody and expect them to come out. And then when they suck, then you know what you end up with is you end up with like 5 years of revolving with what the Pittsburgh Steelers have this year, and what they had last year. That's what you do when you run yourself into a Ben Roethlisberger corner is you end up with lesser players. But I don't, and Ron Leffman saying, I'll put his comment up here for all to see. I don't understand the vitriol against Deshaun. The same fans that love Charlie Fry. Exactly.
Wow.
Look,
we got a 7th round draft choice for him.
If a quarter,
but there's a vast difference. Number one, Charlie Fry went to an Ohio school and got drafted by the Browns. He also was not an unlikable human being off the field or in interviews. So
Jim Brown was an unlikable person off the field at interviews, and he's got a fucking statue.
And he threw a white chick out of a fucking off of a balcony.
That's right. And he's a
if
hero.
If it hadn't been for the snow,
he's got a statue.
She would have fucking broken her neck.
He's got a statue because he won rings, man.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is
he was on a bunch of championship teams, and he was part of the very last championship team.
Correct.
Plus all of the humanitarian stuff that he has done since he quit playing football.
Well, it's all politicized today.
Yes.
What we end up with today.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. When Jim Brown played, you didn't have a 24-hour news cycle. You didn't have social media. You didn't
And
have
thank
all
God
this
for
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have been he probably would have been drummed out of the fucking league
I mean, it's very
in
difficult,
1962.
very difficult to, in today's day and age, to have any clean record, and
Well, any
that
human.
I don't find him unlikable either, Ron. You know what I find about him? He's laconic. There's a good SAT word. He's not an emotional guy, Deshaun Watson. He just always kind of looks like he's disinterested. And part of that is just the way he
Demeanor.
is.
Yeah, it's
That's his
demeanor.
bearing.
Yeah,
And
he's like Droopy Dog.
yeah, but that's why pressure never was a big thing to him, because I get the feeling that he was just a guy who, Derek Frisbee wants to come on. Hi, Derek
Oh
Frisbee.
my God, celebrity.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, how's it going with you, man?
You got
What's
a new
going on, Fish
mic.
Basket?
What's going on? Yeah, I very, 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 very rarely am off on a Monday or a Friday. And to be honest with you, I totally forgot this program was going on. And then I was on YouTube, it popped up, and I was like, hey.
You thought I'd given up the ghost already,
Totally
huh?
understandable.
Hey, I don't mean that as a shot. I'm serious.
No,
I was
no,
like,
but it's
oh,
funny.
hey.
It's funny.
It's the truth, man. That's why it's
This is
funny.
just my 22nd year of doing podcasting. That's all. I mean, nobody gets it. The day that
Nobody
you stop
gives a
seeing the
shit.
program, I'm going to be 6 feet under. That's the way
Wow.
that works. Yeah. I don't find Deshaun Watson as an unlikable fellow. I see him as kind of what I would question about him is not his talent, not his ability, not his desire to play, as is being done right now. What I would say is, does he make players around him better? That would be a fair question, because you see Jameis Winston preaching.
Oh yeah, he was emotive during that game the other day. He was
And-
getting, yeah,
But
I like that.
But you see, that's not the way Deshaun Watson is. So
No,
the question is, and the fact that he had great stats but played for a losing team in Houston, and Houston was a bad team, and they didn't have any defense whatsoever. He put up the yardage that he did. He did have a great wide receiver, and he did have he had speed on the outside, and but did he make them a better player? Well, they would have been worse without him. But I think that he cut himself a fat hog for a deal, and he came to Cleveland because Cleveland offered him that money. And if you want to get pissed off about something, get pissed off about the ownership. And if you're pissed off about the ownership, like you are with the Guardians, and I am too, then the bottom line is, then you have ways of
dealing with that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and having
not support the team anymore.
specific-
That's fine.
yeah, specific examples, like questions I'm asking today. It's like, why are we doing this?
Correct.
What sense does it make? I mean, why would you play Daniel Schneemann and Tyler Freeman when you could be playing Miles Straw, who's got experience in these kinds of big situations? Why wouldn't you use his wisdom and give him a last chance at the major leagues when you just are bringing up people who have no chance of sticking in the major leagues? It
Because
makes no sense.
It makes sense from the point of view that they don't want to lose face from having to reverse their own decision.
Well, I mean, and
That's what it is.
Any good businessman makes bad decisions and has to reverse course. And
Yeah, well, that's true, but they're not good businessmen.
Well, speaking of unlikable characters, as unlikable as George Steinbrenner was, he was not afraid to get rid of somebody that was becoming a pain in the ass or costing
bring it
them
back.
games.
Yeah. How
Pretty
many
much,
times
right,
did he
right.
hire Billy Martin? Like 5
Well,
times or something?
well, yeah. I mean,
That was his
specifically like the
meds.
players.
The guy was
Yeah.
on meds. I mean, when you go
Yeah.
back and forth that many times, you're
Well,
goofy.
yeah, Martin was also an alcoholic, but
Oh,
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
right.
the
I
whole
mean,
Yankees were at that time. Whitey Ford and DiMaggio and Mantle and Maris, the
well, I
whole
mean,
lot.
as a man, when
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
managing, he was clearly an alcoholic.
and
So
Double P actually says it best. People don't like his demeanor, and I would be the
Yeah,
first
that's
one
what
to
it is.
admit
That's
that
what it is.
he is just aloof. That's a good word for him. He's
Yeah.
aloof.
So I think Deshaun Watson is kind of paralleling a former very popular quarterback's career. And I don't know if anybody else has
Okay.
picked up on this, but my concern with Deshaun Watson, so he's been here 3 years. He's
Yep.
played 12 games in 3 years.
Yep.
His first year coming off suspension, 58.2 completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. And then last year, you would expect a significant bump, right? Because he's had a
Yep.
full off season. 61.4 completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in 6 games.
Yep.
I think, and this is just me personally, I think Deshaun Watson's career is scarily similar to Cam Newton in the sense
Wow.
that Cam Newton was an MVP level quarterback, for a season or two there in Carolina, racked up the injuries, racked up, everything that goes on throughout the course of your career. And to the point where Cam Newton was nothing when he was in New England.
Correct.
Right.
And with Deshaun, I think people forget that he's got injuries going back to college. He had significant injuries. He had an ACL injury at Clemson.
Wow.
He's got a bunch of injuries here now in Cleveland. And these are not excuses. I want to make this clear. This,
Yep.
in my opinion, this is the last year.
Physical degradation is what you're saying. His
Yeah.
body is degrading. And yeah,
Yeah.
with Cam Newton, it ended up with that arm thing that he never recovered. I mean, he actually, you could see how he changed the way he threw the ball. And
Yeah.
that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be looking for. And Keith, don't lose your lunch here. If these are not excuses, I want to see him play because I'll know by his delivery because there's so much
We'll
film
know
on
straight
him.
away.
Yeah,
We'll know.
you're going to know if he is making accommodations, changed his delivery, and if the ball's getting there behind people late. I mean, with Cam Newton, it was obvious now, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
his throwing motion was just fucked up.
That was a very good point, Derek. That's a good point.
But the point being
Well, and I
is,
said that a couple of weeks ago when we were talking, and
Well, I might not be down then.
that was the big. That's something that I'm kind of expecting is he's not going to finish the season. He's going to have another torn up right shoulder because of a hit.
and that's the point here is my biggest thing is with Deshaun, we have seen inconsistencies when he's played, but we also haven't seen him play. And we have no time now to afford to wait around. I mean, we're on year 3, and if he gets hurt this year or he comes out and he plays bad, we're in an NFL where teams can find ways to get out of these contracts. I mean, the Broncos are going to be in cap hell for a while, but you know what? They did it, and they pulled the trigger and drafted a quarterback. Now that we have our first-round draft picks back,
Yep.
I think that leash can't get any shorter. And I think he knows it. I think the Browns know it, and the people around him know it too, because if you pay attention to Quincy Avery, to Chops, which I don't know why you would, they're all constantly every day doing everything they can to make him hyped up and, get the excitement up for Deshaun. They know. I mean, this is it. This is the last year.
That's right. I mean, this is, and the question you keep asking, when do the excuses for Watson stop? You know what the excuses are, Keith? And be fair about this. The excuses are there for Watson because Jimmy Haslam and his group of employees brought this man for all that guaranteed money, and the excuses will end when it's apparent that he's such damaged goods, just like RG3. It'll be the same thing, and then he'll be put to pasture. And everybody will be going, yeah, yay, he's gone. But you know what you forget, Keith, is that what will follow him? You know, it was like, yay, Johnny Manziel's gone. And then you see what follows him, and it's
Yeah.
right.
It's a Winslow-sized crater.
So, you know,
at the quarterback position, you know, I mean, what happened between Derek Anderson up until Baker Mayfield? There you go. That's what you're looking at after all this time with Deshaun Watson.
And you know, when I read Mary Kay Cabbagehead saying that, you know, DTR might be the number 2 quarterback this year.
Oh,
you know,
not again.
You
They're
know,
not
look,
doing that
I mean,
shit again.
There's a very fine line between, you know, just speaking the company line, being a dumb cunt. You know, it's a fine line.
Oh, not. Oh.
And I'm gonna give her just the credit that she's not stupid, but that she's spewing something from the front
Somebody
office.
gave her that news release, like Hoinsey, you know.
Well,
You're
no,
Hoinsey, run with that.
There's always a back door, and they're going to deflect as best as they can. Because if Deshaun Watson comes out and doesn't look like Deshaun Watson and he is just washed, which there's a real good chance that could happen, then, you know, they have to move on to what's next. But I'm telling you, if DTR is what's next, you're going to win 3 games. If that.
Correct.
He's not
You're
any
gonna have
good.
my Panthers.
He's not good. And, you know, again, you're complaining about a guy who has thrown for a lot of yardage, who has the ability, but circumstances have conspired and injuries may rob him of the end of his career. All right. And you're bitter about the fact that the Browns organization paid him all that guaranteed money and wasted your time as a fan. That's what you're upset about, Keith. But you know something? They don't give a fuck about you.
No.
You know what they're going to do? Ding bong. Keith B. McLaughlin. Ding bong. Could you donate to build the new dome in Brook Park?
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about you. They want your ticket money. You know? Jimmy Haslam. I don't know if you're dating somebody, Keith, but Jimmy Haslam wants her too. He doesn't care about your feelings. Don't you understand? This is all business. Do you want to know what they're going to do next? I had a friend of mine who said one of the most intelligent things to me.
Oh, my God. An intelligent friend.
He said, Moohead, you're an asshole. I said, boy, that encapsulizes it. No, what he said was, don't you see where this is going with the NFL? I said, no, where's it going?
Where is it going?
He said, they're going to get to a point where they're going up to 18 games. That'll be the next thing.
Correct, yeah.
They're going to have 2 distinct seasons with like 2 months off in between to make the, football at around
the clock,
calendar,
around the world, around
always football season,
always
talked about, and increase the revenues for the teams 40% by adding those games. And it's like, you know something? That is really a good thought. Not that I agree with it, but the bottom line is that's what we're headed for. They got to keep squeezing more blood out of the rock.
Well, the Premier League goes from August to May, so imagine if the NFL went the same sort of timeline. Jesus, there'd be dead people.
Yeah, no, I think, David, I understand what you're pairing together here. I think that it was not so much to going to the Super Bowl first and all that. I think that Cincinnati actually got what appeared to be a good young quarterback who was going to be the future of that conference, and so he felt he had to immediately jump and get a name in. I think that is more accurate, and it's turned out that
after drumming Baker Mayfield into the goddamn ground all season.
And remember, you got to remember there was no options in the draft at quarterback that year.
It was a terrible year.
We were talking about wide receiver, which certainly would have been great. Those guys have panned out. But at the quarterback position, if you moved on from Baker and you said, "Oh, we'll just draft a guy," what's your choices? Kenny Pickett, who
Yep.
was the only quarterback, if
Right.
I'm not mistaken, in the first
Little
round.
hands.
Yeah. And then
It was a terrible draft.
oh, what's his name from Tennessee? I can't even remember. He went to
Oh,
Malik Malik Willis.
Oh,
Malik Willis.
Yeah, those were your options. So
yeah, it wasn't good. And stop and think for a minute. You're getting all bent out of shape, Keith, because they took a shot
holy
at a
shit!
known-
Brownie
at a-
post game.
at a known commodity. They took a shot. Yet, on the other hand, nobody is screaming about what I talked about in the first half hour of the program, which is, would you want Lame Thomas as your quarterback? Would you want Tyler Freeman? Or would you like Schneeman as your quarterback? Because the owners were too cheap to put any money at all into the team. You got a crooked owner, but he spends money. He might make bad decisions, and we've seen some of that. Oh, yeah. But he did something.
Let me introduce you to David Tepper.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
And his trophy girlfriend, Boobs McGinty.
Yeah, and this is what you call spinning history, Keith, he was playing teams from every division, not just his own. And, this is almost close to a blow me comment. It's like he's a professional, and he was a prolific quarterback. And if you don't see that, then there's nothing. Then there's nothing there, Yeah, and I know you like him. I got something in my eye. Yeah. He's been limited under the play calling of Stefanski. You don't want him holding onto the ball, dude. Are you watching these games, or are you just divining this stuff?
Wow.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson is undersized, underarmed,
He can't see over the line.
Can't see over the line, and does not see the field very well.
No, he doesn't.
I will say he has developed a lot from last year to this year.
He's
that is
better.
one thing. He's gotten better. Not significantly, but he has gotten better.
Yeah, well, and it's hard to tell in the preseason anyway now, isn't it? Because,
he's playing against third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah.
But they're
And they're
showcasing him.
Guys.
He was a deer in the headlights when he started playing first-string football
They're-
during the
Against
season.
Ravens.
They're trying to showcase Tyler Huntley and DTR because they're trying to trade one of them.
Oh, of course.
Right. Yeah,
They got to get
absolutely.
another draft pick. They're trying to build up the number of draft picks because they know what's coming, Keith.
The whole
Well,
They
offensive
know
line.
that. They know that the odds are that
I will say that Tyler Huntley did have some decent throws in the game against.
Yeah, I mean,
He-
he's-
against the fourth
Yeah.
string guys
Yeah.
who were cut today.
He was 17 of 22, 146,
No, he
3
put the-
touchdowns.
he put the ball in some very small
Tight
windows,
windows.
especially
Yeah,
on
he
that corner touchdown pass
To
where
Mike Woods.
he put it.
Yeah,
he
which
put that,
never
That
works.
was like a perfect arc.
yeah.
He's a panicker who is slow of foot, and he goes down with arm tackles, and he can't throw across his body because he's got a noodle for an arm. Next, how expensive is NFL Sunday Ticket now? I would
How
almost
much you got?
Well,
Thank God for NFL Bite.
mine is on mine's done by DAZN, and it's like 160 quid, but that's England, but it doesn't give me the Sky games, so the Dallas game will probably be one that I don't have access to.
This guy, Brownie post game guy, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but you're still jerking off over Mayfield? I mean, he's coming off a 9-8 season, and he bombed again in the playoffs.
Yeah, but they were expected to win 5 games. To
Oh,
be
Gar-
fair,
Garrett
they
Wilson
were
was also
expected to do nothing after Brady left.
Garrett.
And he got him a home playoff win and was very competitive against the Lions.
By his own mouth, Baker Mayfield said that he did things wrong in Cleveland.
Correct. He
And
did say that.
I mean, the
Oh,
fact
yeah,
of the
he
matter
should've-
is he is not
after J-
blameless.
After J.J. Watt tore up his shoulder, he should have gotten surgery then.
And
Step back and gotten surgery then. And he would be the quarterback, and they probably would have drafted fucking Garrett Wilson with that pick.
Garrett was picked 2 picks ahead of our pick, I believe.
Wow. Anyway, the I put in the quarterbacks in the 22 draft. The only one that's decent is Purdy, and he's the last pick. So
I'm holding you to this, Keith.
Yeah.
Don't come back here when Baker Mayfield has after his good year, bad year.
Yeah.
Don't come back here
Yeah,
because you're gonna
right.
you're gonna get blindsided. And it won't be just blindsided.
Oh, I'll pile in on it as well because
we'll
I'll
get
pile
people
in.
piling on.
I'll pile on.
I got nothing against
Oh,
Baker
no.
Mayfield,
Neither
but
do
he's
I.
not. You're sitting here trying
He's
to
not the
compare
Messiah.
Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson. And you're willing to write off the bad seasons he had in Cleveland, the bad season he had, that Brian had to sit through, for Christ's
Panthers,
sake.
Yep.
And a mediocre season that managed to worm
at
its
the
way into the
Rams.
playoffs because they were in a crummy division playing bum opposition twice a year, each of those teams. And you're going to compare those players. Unbelievable.
He also needed a change of scenery. I mean,
Yeah.
some players don't work certain places, and he needed a change of scenery. He needed a fresh start, and good for him. He's doing a lot better in Tampa. Awesome.
Yep.
That's funny.
It is what it is, man. So when
Yeah,
when do the Guardians play again tonight? Is it?
I
coming soon?
don't care.
I think it's 5:40 Eastern.
Yeah.
or
Until
6:40
somebody
Eastern, something like that.
until somebody explains to me the answers to my questions, I don't want to hear anything.
Well, I
from that
actually saw
organization.
the 2 games over the weekend that were live on MLB
Yeah,
TV.
it's too bad they can't play the
Especially-
fucking Texas Rangers all the time.
Oh, the Rangers! Did you see that pass ball and strikeout
They
and
got,
pass ball? And they were awful.
Well, I mean, look, it's not like the Royals did not play a perfect game. That one catch, though, off of Noel's bat was an amazing catch by the right fielder, or excuse me, the left fielder. That was unbelievable. He just went completely horizontal to get that ball. That was impressive. But they're a better team than we are. They're constructed better. They have their starting pitching, and
They got a farm system, so
yeah, I mean they're better than we are. But
hey,
that isn't
Bronk.
saying much.
yep.
Speaking of Malik Willis, 25 minutes ago from Adam Schefter, the
Yep.
Titans are sending Malik Willis to the Packers for a 7th-round pick.
Oh wow, you see,
That's the ultimate disc when you get drafted as a quarterback, and then 3
Six-
years later you get a
Not
second
even
round pick.
not
for
even
you.
3 years later.
Or
Don't
two-
you remember
well, it is.
the Browns sent Kaiser up there?
Kaiser
for-
and
for
Charlie
nothing?
Fry and so many people.
$680.
$680.
I used to cry about $270.
No way.
Oh, that's crazy.
No, they wouldn't
Hey, at least
sell.
they got some Alpine Swiss in the Kaiser deal.
Well, of course
Yep.
they love him in Tampa. What else is there to love with that organization? Please.
Wow.
I do expect them to win the division, though.
Well, it is
Well,
what
he
it
has
is,
every
man.
opportunity.
I mean, my team's going to go like 3-14 or 3-15, however many fucking games I got to sit through.
Keith,
But I don't expect
you're
them to win
welcome
one of the
on the
three.
show right now.
You can
Anybody who
join in
takes
you
anyone who takes the
participate.
time,
The link is over there.
yeah,
you
it's
can
right on
join
the
StreamYard.
Yeah, all you have to do is just go to the YouTube feed, look at the show description, and you can click on that, and you're right into the studio. Anybody who takes the time to spend their time to listen to the program, believe me, that's the idea. We get dialogues going. We have
Yep.
fun with it.
As long as you hit a very low bar of decency, then you're allowed on the program. It's that simple.
I'm not writing off his bad season at all. In fact, I would say that the whole Watson deal has been, in its own way, a fiasco, like the Johnny Manziel thing. It was like a long shot, and you knew right off the bat that they'd given up they gave up all their children for this guy.
Yep.
I mean, they sold everything for him. And so you knew that there was a real big Jimmy Haslam implosion going to happen, because it's happened before and it will happen again. Nobody's going to take the team away from him.
So I'm going to regret doing this, but can I ask a question? Because I have not heard your thoughts on this. But Brook Park, what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
I think that as a money-making thing, it's a really good thing for Jimmy Haslam. I think that now that I live here a half a year for the last 2 years, I can speak intelligently about why Brook Park.
Yep.
And if I was in Florida year-round like I have been for all these years, I wouldn't know. But the migration to Western... in the westerly direction, away from Cleveland, away from Akron.
Yep.
And to tell you the truth, I live in that western area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, everyone's moved from I-77 to I-71.
That's, Medina's just grown up before my very eyes.
It's probably bigger than Parma now.
I mean, you look at the county population of Medina County, it's over 150,000 people now.
That's huge.
And, a lot of it is the area that's now developing even more, which is technically north of Medina in an area called Sharon Township. And I spent a lot of time in these areas, and you can just see what's happening. If you go straight up north from Medina, you hit Brunswick. And then if you go straight north from Brunswick, you hit Brook Park. There's nothing there now, but the fact of the matter is that houses are going up like there's no tomorrow in places like Wadsworth. You never could have believed it. And at Medina, it isn't just houses, it's $1 million plus houses that are going into Medina. The wealth is pushing west. The development is no longer in the Renaissance downtown area. It's
that's so last century. I mean, you're going to have an area between Medina and Oberlin that's all going to be all filled in.
Well, so the reason why I ask is I find it interesting, the different opinions on it. Like, if we could move the Brook Park Dome where current Brown Stadium is, that would be cool. But it's just not possible. And I don't think it is possible to build at the lake or downtown.
No, you don't want to.
No, and I think it's, I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be nice. And the biggest thing for me is, regardless of what we think about it, the NFL and other fans and other teams, they tie current Cleveland Browns Stadium to the mistake on the lake teams, to the 0-16, or not 0-17, 1-15, and I think a new stadium. I was there. I mean, make fun of me. I understand. I put my hand up. Y'all are going to make fun of me for this. I went to SummerSlam in Cleveland. It was at Cleveland Browns Stadium, and I've been to many Browns games, but my biggest takeaway from going to SummerSlam was, oh my gosh, this stadium sucks. It took us 50 minutes from inside the stadium to get to our seats, because it was literally person to person, like a bunch of sardines trying to get to our seats.
Yep.
That's just a safety hazard. Yeah, it's not okay.
Shit. Yeah, you're
right. No, it's a lousy stadium. It's given us no home field advantage. It was erected in a way that was not engineering-wise sound. The foundation is fucked up. We've learned that now. It's sterile. It has no personality. And the whole idea was some idiot, and we know who the idiot was, who decided to have that stadium built. It was because, well, let me look at Jacobs Field, But Jacobs Field was a lovely ballpark.
Yeah.
Still is. It's a
And it was
lovely ballpark.
away from the lake and the fog and the midges and all that shit.
But it right in the heart of where they were resuscitating the economy
Correct.
in
Yeah.
the downtown
Yeah.
area. It's done. It's over with.
Yeah.
The gentrification of
That's already happened, and they've moved out.
they're gone. You
Yep.
go through these places now. I mean, take a drive through the middle part and the eastern part of the Merriman Valley where the mansions used to be outside of Akron, and they're falling apart.
Gone.
They're falling apart.
Look,
I mean,
Wow.
and you look at where the new big houses are being built, it's all west. And I can name the areas and tell you that it's staggering how much construction has gone on, because I'm not far from Wadsworth, and Wadsworth was nothing.
It was
But
village.
now it borders on that same Sharon Township area. If you just keep going north, you're going to be in Medina, and everything is going to become, that's the growing county. But Stark County, Canton, no, that's not growing. All right. Summit County is not growing. The growing counties are the western ones. So I think it's going to work out economically fine for Jimmy. The question is, are they going to actually build a good stadium like Jacobs did, or is it going to be another shit thing?
Well, my feeling is still I don't want any fucking tax dollars going. I don't want my family fucking that still lives there to have to foot the bill for.
Well, they're going to. I mean, it's going to happen. They're going to
make Jimmy fucking pay for the whole goddamn thing himself, and then he can make a statue of himself.
They call it Haslam Stadium.
In fact, he can make a statue of himself fucking himself in the ass in front of the stadium. That's how much I don't want him fucking.
So,
Michael, I'm sure that's the way you want it to be. You want the team to be
fail.
A loser. That is what you want. But you know something? It probably is because your life is like that. That's probably why you feel that way. You get up in the morning and your life is a mistake on the lake. God, that's stupid.
So my favorite part about it is because if you go to a Browns game right now, everybody who's gone recently or ever can tell you it's awful. It is awful to get there. It's awful to leave. Everybody's coming in the same way. Everybody's leaving the same way. I cannot wait to have a stadium that we actually have decent parking. It's nice. You can enjoy it. You don't have to worry about fucking dying every time you're walking around the stadium. Like, I don't know. It is cool. It's cool because they're going to make it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but based on what I've read and what I understand from it, essentially, the Brook Park area is going to be built up. There's going to be a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants, all those sorts of things. I almost view it as like Cleveland Browns land. It's like a whole city that's just going to turn into Cleveland, like Cleveland Browns outside of Cleveland. I think that's a cool concept.
And here's what I can tell you, because I'm not going to fight crowds and go to football games up in the Dome. But I will check on the progress over the time that they're building the thing, because it's only about 40 minutes away from where I live. Yeah. So it's a lot easier for me to get to than it would be to go into Cleveland and have to put up with the interstate there and the bullshit traffic and the congestion.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, if they do get this approved and they do start construction, at least it's going to be 20,000 jobs, 25,000 jobs while that thing is being constructed. And most of those union jobs. So
sure.
Yeah. So
I don't know how much the mafia is going to get kickbacks, but
I think they're all dead too. It's a different kind of mafia nowadays. Anyway.
Michael's like, hey, wait a minute. Ah!
Oh, the old fish hook was out.
Yeah, I got him with the fish hook. Yeah.
Tony the Catfish Hook. Where is Tony the Calf, anyways? Has he got a job or?
Yeah, and he's working between 12 and 16 hours a day.
Oh wow!
What the hell?
Yeah.
We need film of that.
I love you,
Yeah,
Michael. I'm just
love
messing
But
you.
with
he
you.
finally, he finally got a decent paying job, and so
Wow.
he's starting to do well again.
So, real quick before we get out of here, you know, we have plenty of time to talk about the only surprises and the cuts to me. Isaiah Thomas
Yeah.
being cut was a little bit of a surprise. Chim Okorafor as a tackle, if he couldn't make it into this
He must be
situation,
hurt or something.
or he's just not very good. So that kind of surprised me a little bit. Maybe Caleb Johnson may have been on the fringe, but boy, as a first cut, Lucas Havrasik, that's really interesting that they knocked down the kicker that they just brought in. So they're going to hope that Hopkins stays healthy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, they'll bring him back on the practice squad. They got to cut him
yeah,
and then put him
that's-
on the practice squad. That's accounting.
And
you know?
the funny thing is, Stefanski, I mean, we know that Nick Chubb is going to be, out weeks 1 through 4. That we understand, although he was not officially put on the pup list or taken off of the pup list, I should say. The people who passed their physicals to Anthony Bell and Conklin, who's going to be moved to the left side invariably. Greg Newsome, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Jedrick Wills. The only one not so, coming back to practice is Wills, and Conklin will be practicing and Wills won't, which I don't understand because Conklin had an MCL and an ACL done, and Jedrick Wills just had an MCL done, and something ain't right with Jedrick Wills.
He's fat.
Well, really, really fat. Yeah.
He's one of the butt sisters.
His shadow weighs 42 pounds.
Yeah.
DJ Brobot, I don't really keep up with that stuff. I could do some investigating, but I would not have an opinion on something like that. And I hate to say anything about a company that I know nothing about. So
that's a loaded question.
Yeah. So, but as far as Nick Chubb, even Stefanski's still saying, well, he doesn't want to precipitate, but weeks 1 through 4, you're not going to, you're not going to see any Nick Chubb. And that's what's going to make this a hard start of the season for the Browns. They have no running game whatsoever.
No.
And I
I
saw
did
that
like
Pierre
that.
Strong is practicing, and I don't understand that. 1 minute he's in an ambulance and he can't breathe, and he has a rib contusion, and they're going to let him practice with a rib contusion. I'm really confused.
Who knows?
Well, if it's non-contact stuff, he can participate in that. But anything that he could take a hit, I doubt he'll be in that.
Hey, Rev,
I
how
do
you
like
doing?
Sailors. I did like that Sailors kid that they just picked up.
Yeah, he had a couple good runs, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, right now it's we know who the running backs are going to be, and Deontay Foreman is not back from his rib-orama. And
It's going to be Sailor or somebody we don't know. I keep insisting that.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, but the Broncos cut Samadre P. Ryan. So
did they
there you
really?
have it. There you have it. We'll get him now.
I mean, so that's what they're going to be doing is looking, on the wave lists, and they're gonna see what they can pick up. But honestly, I don't think much of Pierre Strong. I don't think even much of Ford.
Yeah, he can't see a damn thing.
He reminds me of Trent Richardson.
Yeah,
he just has this hiccup
slower.
in his giddy up.
He's ordinary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Side note, though, Isaiah Thomas, I see no chance of him staying on the practice squad. There's going to be a team that picks him up. Yeah, the way he's played this preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see him get slashed
Well, you've
like
got
that.
teams like the Cardinals and the Panthers that are going to be scrambling to scoop up and dump guys. So it's going to be a busy busy couple of days.
Are people hyped out there for Marv?
For what?
Marv who?
Marvin Harrison?
Yeah, except you can't buy his jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, that has been... I don't know what's
So-
going on there. It's weird.
Who, David, are you referring to when they haven't cut him? They're trying to trade him. I'm sorry. I'm not following.
I don't know what
P.
he-
Ryan, maybe? I saw P. Ryan was cut. I could be wrong.
Oh, they're using him as trade bait. Oh, they're going to try to get something from the Browns. That would make sense. Play dummy
Or any
Haslam.
other team.
Yeah. So at any rate,
Is it time for Dick Goddard?
no, I'm not going to do Dick Goddard because the weather
Oh.
here is fucking hot and
How it's hot.
it is really, really,
Yeah.
really hot.
Right
and
now
it's
it's
going
not
to
as
it's going to be in
heated.
the 90s the next couple days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna feel like me.
Well,
I don't
Hot
think
and
I'll
humid.
ever feel like you.
No,
At least I
no.
hope not. That would be one of the hardest things for
It'll
me.
be. It'll feel like 105 with 58% humidity.
Yeah.
that's nice.
But I hope. First of all, thanks to Derek and to Bronk and to Brian. It's good to
No.
see the group coming back together again.
Derek's sounding very good with his microphone. He sounds very.
Oh,
resonant
yeah,
and
yeah. You
Very,
got-
very manly.
Good sound. Good
Yeah,
sound.
it's good sound.
And just thanks everybody for tuning in. We get closer to football season, and the halftime and post game shows and all the vitriol that goes with it.
Vitriol.
And-
Oh God.
And thanks to Keith for keeping me interested in the chat and not having to read Amsterdam's stupidity. So thank you for that. And you're welcome on the show anytime. And everybody out there, same thing. You want to click on the link, get in, talk. This is the People's Program. And I love to be able to interact.
It's
Just
a
make
very
sure
low
you-
bar here.
Just make sure you're wearing pants. There's a lot of people that like to join them StreamYard links and they're doing activities.
Well,
No former CNN host, please.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back again at the end of the week on Friday, and we'll be talking more about whatever is happening.
that's the practice squads and the Guardians.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
see if
look,
the Guardians are
you'll
no
have
longer
pretty
in
much-
first place. Yeah.
You'll pretty much have the full 53 man set up for game week. So
When does that come out? Do you know?
No,
Thursday.
thank you,
Yeah.
Keith.
the final cut down will be tomorrow, and then
Oh, shoot.
they're going to
The
be
practice squad.
re-signing
Yep.
all the pickups. So there'll be a
Okay.
lot of changes between now and Friday.
Oh, boy.
And good night to you, DJ Bro, and to everybody else.
Good night, John Boy.
We'll see you
Good night,
again
Mariella.
Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.